When Zara saw the blood dripping from her hands that morning, she knew the curse had arrived. It wasn't blood from a wound. It was blood that sprouted from her skin itself, as if something inside her was leaking. The women of Kibanda village always whispered about the fate of those who stole other women's husbands. "The river collects," they would say, looking at the dark waters that ran alongside the village. "The river always collects." And now, as Zara looked at her stained hands, trembling with fear, she finally understood what those words meant. But it was too late. Too late to ask for forgiveness. Too late to undo what she had done. Too late to avoid the price she would have to pay. Zara was born in the village of Kibanda, a small settlement where everyone knew each other's secrets. Or at least they thought they did. She was the daughter of Mama Aisha, a fabric merchant who sold her goods at the market every Thursday, and a man who left before Zara even took her first steps. From childhood, Zara was different. Not because of her beauty, although she was beautiful. Her eyes were large and bright, like two polished onyx stones. Her skin had the tone of wet earth after the first rain. Her lips were full and always curved in a smile that promised secrets. But that wasn't what made her special. It was her voice. When Zara spoke, people stopped to listen. Her voice was sweet like wild honey, soft like the breeze that blew from the river at dusk, warm like the fire that heated cold nights. There was something about that voice, something that made men forget where they were, something that made their hearts beat faster, something that made them promise things they should never promise. Mama Aisha noticed. She saw how married men looked at her daughter at the market, how they invented excuses to pass by their hut, how their voices changed when they spoke with Zara. "Be careful with this gift," Mama Aisha warned, shaking her finger. "Her sweet voice can be a blessing or a curse. It depends on how you use it." But Zara was young, and the young never listen. When she was 17, something changed in her heart. Perhaps it was the poverty they lived in. Perhaps it was seeing her mother break her back every day and still barely manage to buy cassava. Perhaps it was the envy she felt for the other girls, whose fathers gave them pretty dresses and bead necklaces. Zara realized something. Married men had money. They had prosperous farms, fat cattle, houses with roofs that didn't leak when it rained. And they wanted attention. They wanted to be seen. They wanted to feel young again. And Zara had exactly what they were looking for. The first was Bayo, the farmer. He was 40 years old and had a wife who had given him 6 children. But when Bayo saw Zara at the market, something awakened in him. She was selling fabrics for her mother, her voice flowing smoothly as she described the colors and textures. "This one," Zara said, running her fingers over the blue fabric, "is the color of the sky when the gods are happy. Perfect for a loving wife." Bayo bought 3 pieces. He came back the following week and bought 5 more. On the 3rd week, he didn't buy anything. He just asked to speak with Zara in private. They met near the river, where the bushes were thick and no one could see. Bayo brought gifts, a red bead necklace, silver coins wrapped in leaves, a piece of fabric so fine it seemed made of mist. "You are special," he whispered, eyes fixed on her as if hypnotized. "Not like the others, not like my wife." Zara smiled, that smile that promised secrets. "Show me how special I am," she said, her voice sweet as always. And so it began. Bayo came every week. He brought money, gifts, empty promises. Zara accepted everything. She kept the coins in a gourd buried under the floor of her hut. She wore the necklaces only at night when no one could see. For 3 months, it was perfect. Then Bayo's wife found out. Not because he confessed, but because the money started disappearing. Because he came home smelling different. Because he whispered a name during sleep. Zara. Bayo's wife was a strong woman, with calloused hands from working the land alongside her husband. When she found out, she didn't cry. She just gathered her things, rounded up the 6 children, and returned to her parents' village. Bayo begged. He knelt in the mud. He promised to change. She spat at his feet and left. 2 weeks later, Bayo's farm began to wither. The yam crops rotted overnight. His goats got sick, bleating in pain before dying one by one. The house, once full of children's laughter, became silent as a grave. The villagers whispered. "The river collects," they said. "When you destroy a family, the river collects." But Zara didn't hear the whispers, or pretended not to hear, because there was already another. The second was Adewale, the merchant. He came from another village bringing spices, expensive fabrics, and stories from distant lands. He was tall, with a laugh that filled the entire market. He had a pregnant wife at home, expecting their 3rd child. But when Adewale heard Zara's voice, he forgot about his wife. They met in the old abandoned hut at the edge of the forest. Adewale brought more expensive gifts than Bayo. Bronze bracelets, fabrics with gold embroidery. He even once brought a small mirror, a rare thing in the village. "You deserve to see your own beauty," he said, handing her the mirror. Zara looked at her reflection and smiled. For 6 months, Adewale was hers, or she was his. No one knew for sure. Until Adewale's wife gave birth. A small, fragile girl who cried day and night. The village healer said the child was cursed. "Something wrong happened while she was in the womb," he murmured. "Something broke the balance." Adewale's wife knew. She knew deep in her heart that her husband had betrayed the family, and the price was being paid by the innocent daughter. She confronted Adewale. He denied it. He denied it so forcefully that his own voice began to fail. Within a week, Adewale could no longer speak. His voice, which once filled the market, had vanished like smoke. The villagers whispered. "The river collects," they said. "Always collects." Adewale's wife took the sick daughter and returned to her family. Adewale was left alone, silent, his fortune melting like wax in the sun. And Zara already had another. The 3rd was Chike, the best friend of the village chief. Chike had a wife who loved him devotedly, a gentle woman who woke before the sun to prepare his favorite food, who sang while washing his clothes in the river, who smiled when he came home, even tired from a full day of work. But Chike wanted more. When he met Zara at a village celebration, when he heard her voice whispering in his ear, when she touched his arm with soft fingers, he forgot everything. He forgot the vows he had made under the sacred tree. He forgot the woman waiting for him at home. He forgot that some things have a price. Cheek and Zara met at night when the village slept. He brought gold, real money, not just coins. He promised to build a house for her. He promised to leave his wife. He promised. Zara smiled and accepted everything. But Chike's promises were as empty as a broken gourd. His wife fell ill, a strange disease that no healer could identify. She withered day after day, her body becoming thin as bamboo in the wind, her skin losing color like a dying flower. 3 months later, she died. At the funeral, as the body was being prepared for burial, the deceased sister pointed at Chike. Her voice cut through the silence like a sharp knife. "You did this! You and that woman! Zara!" The entire village turned, all eyes on Chike, all eyes then searching for Zara in the crowd. She was there in the back, trying to go unnoticed. The whispers began. They were no longer soft. They were loud, angry, accusatory. "Home wrecker! Husband thief! Cursed!" Zara fled. She ran home, locked the door, covered her ears. But she couldn't escape the voices. They echoed in her head. The river collects. The river collects. The river collects. 2 weeks passed. Zara stopped leaving the house. Mama Aisha was sick, too sick to work. Food was running out. The money Zara had saved had disappeared, vanished, as if it had never existed. She looked in the buried gourd. Empty. She looked in the secret hiding places. Empty. Everything she had stolen, everything she had accumulated through lies and betrayals, had evaporated. And then, that morning, Zara woke up and saw her hands. Blood. Dripping from her palms, her fingers, her wrists. But there were no wounds. The blood simply sprouted from her skin, as if something inside her was bleeding. She screamed. She washed her hands in the bucket of water. The blood continued. She washed again, and again, and again. The blood didn't stop. Mama Aisha dragged herself from bed, weak, trembling. When she saw her daughter's hands, her eyes filled with tears. "I warned you," she whispered. "I warned you that this gift could be a curse." "Mother, help me," Zara cried. "Please." "There is only one who can help," Mama Aisha said. "The river elder." The river elder was a legend. They said she lived in the deepest part of the forest, where the river curved and disappeared among the trees. They said she was older than the village itself. They said she knew all secrets, saw all sins, kept all destinies. Zara had never believed, but now, with her hands bleeding non-stop, with fear consuming her heart, she had no choice. She walked to the forest at dusk. The path was dark, lit only by the crescent moon. The sounds of night surrounded her. Crickets, owls, the whisper of leaves. And then she saw her. Under the oldest tree in the forest, so old that its branches touched the ground like gnarled fingers, stood a woman. Her skin was dark as night, wrinkled like the bark of an ancient tree. Her hair was white as cotton, falling to her waist. And her eyes shone with their own light, like 2 fallen stars. "Zara," the elder said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it echoed as if coming from the depths of the earth. "Finally you came." You know me?" Zara whispered. "I know all who come to the river with dirty hands," the elder replied. "And your hands, child, are very dirty." Zara fell to her knees. Please help me. I'll do anything." The elder approached. Her feet made no sound on the leaves. "You received a gift," she said. "A voice that enchants, a voice that seduces, a voice that makes men forget their vows, their families, their souls. But you used this gift to destroy, to steal, to break what was sacred." "I didn't know," Zara cried. "I didn't know that. Lie!" The elder's voice thundered like a storm. "You knew. Every time a married man brought you gifts, every time you whispered in ears that weren't yours to whisper in, every time you accepted gold, stained with the tears of betrayed wives, you knew." The blood flowed stronger now, falling from Zara's hands like red rain. "The 3 women," the elder continued. "Bayo's wife, abandoned with 6 children. Adewale's wife, with a cursed daughter. Cheek's wife, who died of heartbreak. Their sufferings, their tears, their pains. All of this is on your hands now." Zara looked at her bleeding hands and finally understood. It wasn't her blood. It was the blood of the lives she had destroyed. "What do I do?" she whispered. "How do I stop this?" The elder crouched down, getting to Zara's eye level. "You have 3 nights, she said. 3 nights to seek forgiveness from the 3 women you destroyed. If you succeed, the blood stops. If you don't..." The elder didn't finish. She didn't need to. "And if they don't forgive me?" Zara asked, her voice broken. Then you will bleed until there is nothing left inside you, until your own voice dries up like a well in the desert, until you are just an empty shell, living but not alive, breathing but not breathing. The elder stood up and began to walk away, disappearing among the shadows of the trees. "Wait!" Zara shouted. "How do I find them?" The elder's voice echoed from afar, almost inaudible now. "The river will guide you. It always guides those who need to pay their debts." On the first night, Zara walked following the river. Her hands were wrapped in leaves, trying to hide the blood. But it leaked out, marking the path behind her with red drops. She found Bayo's wife in the neighboring village, living in a small hut with the 6 children. The woman was thin, tired, with wrinkles that weren't there before. When she saw Zara, her eyes narrowed. "You!" The word came out like spit. "I came to ask for forgiveness," Zara said, removing the leaves from her hands. The blood flowed freely. "Please, I was wrong. I destroyed your family. You think words fix things?" The woman cut her off. "You think I'm sorry brings my husband back, feeds my children, returns the dignity you stole from me?" "No," Zara cried. "I know it doesn't, but I need you to know that I'm sorry. Deeply sorry." The woman was silent for a long time, looking at Zara, looking at the blood. Finally, she sighed. "I forgive you," she said. "Not for you, but for me. Because carrying hate is like carrying stones on your shoulders, and I already carry enough weight." At that moment, the blood from Zara's left hand stopped. On the second night, Zara found Adewale's wife. She was in a small settlement caring for the daughter who still cried non-stop. The child was fragile, so fragile it seemed she would break with a touch. When the woman saw Zara, something broke in her eyes. "You," she whispered. "Because of you, my daughter suffers." "I know," Zara said, "and I would give everything I have, to undo what I did." "You have nothing," the woman replied. "You never had anything but lies and theft." "I know," Zara repeated, tears running down her face. "Please, forgive me. Not for me, for you, so you can live without this weight." The woman looked at her daughter, looked at Zara, looked at the blood. "Forgiving you doesn't heal my daughter," she said. "I know. Doesn't bring my husband back. I know. Doesn't fix anything. I know." Silence. Then, the woman picked up the daughter in her arms and turned away. "I don't forgive you," she said, "but I let you go, because holding on to anger would poison my milk, and my daughter already suffers enough." The blood from the right hand diminished. It didn't stop completely, but it slowed to a slow drip. On the third night, Zara searched for Cheek's wife's sister. The wife herself was dead, but her sister guarded her memory as if guarding a sacred flame. Zara found her in the cemetery, placing fresh flowers on the grave. When the sister saw Zara, her expression transformed into pure fury. "You!" she screamed. "You dare come here? Dare step on the same ground she walked?" "I came to ask for forgiveness," Zara said. "Forgiveness?" The sister laughed, but it was a laugh without joy. "My sister is dead, dead because of you and that cursed man, and you want forgiveness?" "I know I don't deserve it," Zara said. "I know what I did is unforgivable, but I'm paying. Look." She showed her bleeding hands. "I'm paying." "It's not enough," the sister spat. "You should die, should bleed until there's nothing left, should suffer as she suffered." "I will," Zara whispered. "If you don't forgive me, that's what will happen, and maybe that's what I deserve." The sister looked at her, really looked, saw the desperation, the remorse, the fear. "You want to live?" she asked. "I want to make things right," Zara answered. "If that means living to try to fix what I broke, then yes. If it means dying as punishment, then I accept." The sister was silent for a long time. Then she knelt beside the grave. "My sister was kind," she said. "More kindness than this world deserved. If she were here, she would forgive you, because that's how she was." The sister stood up and looked Zara in the eyes. "I'm not as kind as she was, but I'll try to be, for her." She took a deep breath. "I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because she would have done this, and I want to honor her memory." At that moment, the blood stopped completely. Zara's hands, for the first time in 3 days, were clean. Zara returned to Kibanda village at dawn. Mama Aisha was still alive, but weak. Zara cared for her day and night until she recovered. The village never forgot what Zara had done. The whispers continued. But now, when she passed by, people also saw something different. Someone who had paid for her mistakes. Someone who had faced the consequences. Zara never again used her voice to seduce. Never again looked at married men. Never again accepted gifts that weren't hers to accept. She worked at the market alongside her mother. She lived a simple life, humble. Years later, a man came to the village. A young man, single, with kind eyes and an honest smile. He fell in love with Zara, not for her enchanting voice, but for the woman she had become. She married him. They had children. They lived happily. And every night before sleeping, Zara looked at her own hands, clean, without blood, and she was grateful, because she had learned that every action has consequences, that destroying homes brings a curse, that the river always collects its debts. But she had also learned that forgiveness is possible, that new beginnings exist, that even the worst choices can be redeemed. And so, Zara lived the rest of her days with humility and gratitude. And she taught her children the sacred lesson that almost cost her her life. Never build your happiness on the unhappiness of others, because karma always collects. Always. The end.